Before I go into anything else around details or overview or the panel, I want to stop and introduce Colonel Tom Palladino from the Texas Veterans Commission. He's the executive director there, and I have known Tom now since probably 2008. He was still with the Texas Military Forces and leading partners across Texas. That's how I got introduced to him. He's since taken over the directorship at TVC and done a wonderful job reaching out and collaborating with partners, including our agency, the Department of State Health Services. So really thankful for that. So at this point, to kick us off, I'm going to ask Mr. Palladino to come up here and do a welcoming. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. I'm Tom Palladino, and I'm the Executive Director of the Texas Veterans Commission. Oh, is that better? Not too close, right? We've been working together for a long time in how to help veterans transition from active service to civilian environment. And it's a very important endeavor. So we're very, very pleased to be part of the 5th annual Justice of All Veterans Conference. I think it's very important what you do, what we do, to help veterans. And so I want to thank you all for coming to this event and working together to come up with different ideas to help veterans and their transition from the military to the civilian world. So just a little bit about the Texas Veterans Commission. So we're the state agency for veteran affairs. It's who we are. I'm going to come on down because I'm sitting behind this podium and I don't like this. Sorry. So every state has a State Department of Veteran Affairs. Every state has one. So we're the Texas Veterans Commission. We have 5 commissioners that are appointed by the governor, and I'm the executive director. And so then we run the agency. And our main areas are claims counseling and representation. So we have about 150 veteran service officers that work directly for us in the VA facilities that advocate for veterans to file their disability claims with the VA. And we advocate for them with the VA. And we pursue those claims till we get a final decision. And then you heard the stories on the backlog. Well, our staff has worked with the VA instrumentally this past year to we cut the backlog of claims from 68,000 to under 30,000, which is an excellent endeavor. So the goal is to go to 0. But we've made a lot of progress, and we've got favorable decisions on the majority of those claims. And we have veteran service officers that work for us or for the county that support every veteran court out there. And so the veteran courts out there have support from our agency because they need to have a service-connected disability to be into those veteran courts. And so Gerald Richmond is my director of those of the claims counsel representation. He's around here. You throughout the conference and you get to meet him. We also have a veteran employment program. We're the only state that has a veteran employment program as part of our agency. There's 160 veteran employment representatives in 92 workforce centers in 75 cities that help veterans with their employment skills to transition from the military to the civilian workforce in order to find them gainful employment so they're not underemployed. They are achieving, obtaining employment, which is something they want to pursue. And so it's very important that we work with their skills. And then those individuals also support the veteran courts, which we're going to talk about in a minute, to help veterans with their job training and to get into the profession that'll help them lead a viable life at a certain standard level. We also have a veteran education program with the state approving agency. We approve every institution of higher learning that uses the GI Bill. So we do that for the VA. We also now oversee the state education benefit, which is the Hazelwood Exemption. If you entered service from Texas and you are active duty for at least 6 months, then you're entitled to 150 hours of exempted tuition at any public university. You have to use your GI Bill first, but then you also can pass the Hazelwood on to your children, to your dependents. So our agency now oversees that. And so we're working with the universities to make sure we standardize the eligibility, enrollment, and reporting of that. Because again, our mission is to help veterans transition from the active duty or Reserve National Guard in their function there to the civilian, to have gainful employment and a profession. And so the education is a key component to that, to ensure that they're in the right program for certification or degrees to do that. Then we have a Fund Veteran Assistance. Our Fund Veteran Assistance awards grants to nonprofits, cities, and counties, including veteran courts, that provide a service to veterans, to military service members and veterans. And I think since 2009, we've been awarding these grants. We've awarded over $35 million to over 100 organizations. So it's an excellent way to help veterans obtain the services that can help them. And so the way that the funding stream for the Fund Veteran Assistance mostly is through a veteran cash lottery ticket, but it's also through donations. People can donate when they renew their driver's license and when they renew their automobile registration. So those are the main areas. We have a few others. We have a new program, which is a Women Veterans Program. We have 3 Women Veterans Coordinators that work for the claims, and they were in employment and outreach. And so we have reached every organization out there in Texas that has some sort of services or benefits for women veterans, and we try to get women veterans to access health care and child care and employment issues and disability claims. And so we're really working hard to have a very viable women veteran program. We also have a veteran entrepreneur program we just started last year. So we help veterans start and maintain their own businesses. So we do seminars around the state. We've had over 2,500 veterans partake in these. And what we do is we link up businesses and corporations that want to give low interest funding to veterans that want to start their own businesses. And we provide mentoring and business plans. So it's been extremely successful. So our state has a lot of services for veterans, and we see ourselves as the central hub to try to coordinate these services out there so that the veterans and the service members who are leaving the service, they know these services. It is one of the hardest thing that I've found in doing this for so many years now is for the veteran and their family to know what services are out there. So before I retired from the Army in 2009, and I worked for the Adjutant General of Texas for the 4 years prior to that, and that's what I did. That's what Sam mentioned. We had a coalition called Partners Across Texas. It was an MOU the governor signed in every state agency, federal agency. We had counties and cities and nonprofits all part of this. And what we tried to do is coordinate these services that were available to veterans, whether it was counseling services, mental health, or physical rehabilitation. We try to bring these services together. And then we try to market it and advertise. We use TexVet, which Jeffrey Perry's is here, from TexVet A&M, and works with dishes on supporting that, to try to get the word out. It's very important. It's very hard to do, to connect with every veteran or military service member that needs those services. So it is a huge endeavor. I can't think of anything that I would rather do, because these veterans, who are they? Well, they're us. They're our brothers and sisters and children and parents and uncles and aunts and nephews and nieces, and they all volunteered to put a uniform on, go wherever their country told them to go, and they did it with high initiative and motivation and high morale, and they served, and they came back, and now they transitioned to the civilian workforce. And in a lot of cases, it's hard. It's really hard. And that's if they don't have any mental or physical disabilities. It's still hard. In a few cases, it's not. I mean, you could take a certain percentage, and they planned ahead, and they moved into, they went to school, and they have job training programs, they got a degree, and they moved in. But for the vast majority, it's not like that. It's hard. And now, if you add on a physical or mental disability, or if they had TBI, traumatic brain injury, or they had PTSD, or they just suffer from depression, or if they just suffer from low self-esteem because they come back from their service, and in their service they did a whole bunch of great things. They are responsible for millions of dollars of equipment, they led men and women serving their country, accomplishing missions, and now they come back and they can't find a job. And they may not have PTSD or not been diagnosed with TBI. But you know what? You can't find a job, you're going to get depressed. Because you can't support your family. And so that then could move into other areas where you have domestic violence, or your self-esteem goes so low that you have suicidal thoughts. That's why the suicide rate has been so high. The domestic violence rate has been so high. Alcohol, drug abuse has been so high. So we try to, what we look for is to try to help that veteran become well-balanced. Mental and physical well-being. That's our goal, is to try to improve the mental and physical well-being of all the military service members out there and their families when they transition off, in order so that they can have a viable profession, viable employment, which will give them a certain standard of living, and that they will have a stable life, they can contribute back to society, and that's what they want. And that's where we turn to the veteran courts. Veteran courts have been around for the last few years in Texas. They started out in Buffalo. The first veteran court in Texas was in Harris County with Judge Carter. And they have moved and expanded where now there's 20 in county. It's great. In fact, we did a recent survey of all the states out there, how many veteran courts they have. You know, Texas is one of the highest number of veteran courts, because we are a big state. But there is more and more counties, more and more judges that want to do it. And it's volunteer. So the state did pass in 2009, they passed a statute allowing veteran courts. But the counties themselves, the judges in the counties, the county and district judges, they're the ones that have to volunteer to do it. So any judge and the staff members on any court that wants to do it, I commend them, because what happens in a veteran court is phenomenal. These are veterans who have committed a crime, charged with the crime, and then it has been determined that their service-connected disability, whether they have TBI or they have PTSD or some mental health issues, that has contributed to them committing that crime. So the judge and the staff of that veteran court then will put them in a program that will last at least a year, and they get rehabilitation, they get treatment, depending on the issue, and at the end they graduate and they are more stable. And then we try to help them with their access to health care and employment so that they'll have a stable life. And then the crime does not go on their record. So it's much better than going to prison. It's great. So I want, at this point, I want to thank Sam Shore and your whole staff and Dishes for everything you do and our cooperation and our partnership that we've always had. And I want to recognize the judge of the Bexar County Veteran Court. Wayne Christian is sitting over here, who is retired colonel from U.S. Army, 82nd Airborne, Special Forces, left the Army, retired, and has been in his role as the judge of County Court number 6, I think, and has run this veteran court for the last 3 years. Randy Parker was also Randy Parker is retired lieutenant colonel from the Army. See, I'm Army. Now, we love everyone else, too. We love Marines and Air Force and Navy and Coast Guard, but we do have an Army connection. And Randy retired in 1994, he was a field artilleryman, and he worked in the Judge Advocate Corps, and he works for Judge Christian. And so I appreciate both of you. I'd like both of you to come on up and welcome everyone to Bexar County.
Colonel Palladino is an old armor guy, so he's used to having a tank around him. I'm an infantry guy, so I like to hide behind stuff. First off, welcome to San Antonio, Military City, USA. Why do they call us Military City, USA? Our many military bases include Fort Sam Houston, Brooke Army Medical Center, the home of Army medicine. Randolph Air Force Base, where pretty much every World War II pilot earned his wings. Kelly, Lackland, Brooks Air Force Base, all historical, a couple of them still going strong. We have Camp Bullis out north of San Antonio, which is a large area that the folks that are building houses would really like to have, and we're not going to give it to them. It now houses the Special Forces Battalion. And we have Camp Stanley, which is secret, so we can't talk about Camp Stanley, whatever goes on out there. I want to tell you a little bit about the military heritage of San Antonio, which goes back a little before our time, like maybe 1836. About 5 blocks away from here is an old Spanish mission. Back in 1836 was manned by 189 rebel Texas patriots who held off a standing 2,000-man Mexican army for 13 days. Then they got overrun. They called it the Alamo. In 1886, after the Indian Wars were pretty much wrapped up, we had Geronimo as our captive over here in the quadrangle at Fort Sam Houston. 1898, Spanish-American War. Guess where Teddy Roosevelt recruited the first volunteer cavalry, i.e. the Rough Riders? Menger Bar, right next door to the Alamo. 1910, Lieutenant Benjamin Foulois, an Army aviator, not an Army aviator, the first Army aviator, flew a Wright Flyer around the parade field at Fort Sam Houston as the initiation of Army aviation. 1918, Billy Mitchell, who'd been stationed at Fort Sam Houston for 3 years and was a huge pioneer in military aviation. Got court-martialed because he was so outspoken about it. Now honored, as he should have been at the time, but he was the father of modern military aviation, has a long history at Fort Sam Houston. 1916, General Blackjack Pershing, staged from Fort Sam Houston, headed down to Mexico with the Expeditionary Punitive Force to chase down Pancho Villa. He had a brash young lieutenant with him named, what's that guy's name? George Patton. Some of the alumni from our military area should ring true to those of you that have any interest in military history. From 1918, 1941, general officers, Billy Mitchell, Buckner, Stilwell, Hodges, Simpson, Kruger, Wainwright, and another guy named Eisenhower, all played major parts in World War II. Since then, soldiers trained in our military facilities have fought in every war our nation has had. Korea, Vietnam, Operation Urgent Fury in Grenada, Operation Just Cause in Panama, Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom in Afghanistan. All wars received support from their personnel trained at Fort Sam Houston. The Fort Sam Houston National Cemetery has an exclusive club of members made up of a veteran from every war that America has ever had. They would all be proud of your work today with the Veterans Treatment Courts, especially from our veterans of America's longest war. I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Colonel Parker now, who's going to give you some insight into the Veterans Treatment Court and what that does for us in Texas and all our veterans. Colonel Parker, take over.
Thank you. Is it easy to see why I get fired up when I work around this guy? If you haven't been to one of our court dockets, I invite you anytime, usually twice a month on Monday afternoon, and you'll have a lot of fun. You'll enjoy it. Okay, anybody here attend Vet Court Con 1 in Washington last December? Show of hands. Anybody? Vet Court 1. Okay. Anybody going to Vet Court Con 2 in Anaheim at the end of May? Show of hands. Okay. Good. We're going to have some fun there too. As far as I'm concerned, the single most important thing that we can do here today is to network. There are 20 Veterans Treatment Courts in Texas. I had planned to send out a survey to each and every one of you. Well, I just didn't get it done. But the information that we need to share is important on how we run our courts. I'll be here during the entire time. Where's my court manager? Mike, stand up. Mike McCollum in the back. He's got one of our blue shirts on. Is the court manager. He'll be here. Talk to Mike, because we do have a very vibrant program. We currently have 122 active participants in our Veterans Court. We have graduated 125. We have 200 in the pipeline. The need is there. Unfortunately, we have a lot of soldiers, I call them kids compared to me, coming back from the war that have problems. And those problems create other problems. And they're just as involved, they get in trouble, and it's our job. They're our neighbors, they're our brothers, they're our sisters, they're our parents. It's our job to try to help them. They've earned the benefits that they have. And we have to make sure that they get those benefits. They went off and did what this country told them to do. And they saw things that we should never have to see. And they did things that we should never have to do. So they come back, they've got issues, we need to make sure that they get the treatment that they need. How many veterans treatment courts are involved in any kind of social media? Anyone? Does anyone have a Facebook account? Where are you from? Amarillo. Do me a favor, for those of you that have your smartphones or dumb phones or whatever you call them, go to Veterans Treatment Court, Bexar County, Texas. That's our site. That's our Facebook site. Like us, please. But you'll see there's some photos there. You'll see some of the things that we've been doing. And I want to see what you've been doing. So I really strongly encourage you to create your own Facebook account. Now,
Could you repeat that website address, please?
it's Facebook, Veterans Treatment Court, Bexar County, Texas. Like us, please. And I do have the list of the 20 Veterans Treatment Courts. I'm going to be sending something out to all of you, maybe even tonight. Now, Judge Russell, is Judge Russell here yet? Is he here?
Tomorrow morning.
Not here?
Tomorrow
Okay.
morning.
All right, great. You know, he is he's a great guy, and he was always present and always able to talk with us at the Veterans Court 1, Vet Court Con 1 in Washington in December. And he'll be here tomorrow. You see this banner up here? It says, "Leave no veteran behind." I was fortunate to be able to participate in the mentor program at Vet Court Con 1. And one of the things that they emphasized was the credo, or the motto, is "Leave no veteran behind." In our court, Bexar County Court, we start each session with a Pledge of Allegiance, led by the judge. And he'll turn around and he'll say, "Take your seats." At that time, the entire court in unison says, "Leave no veteran behind, sir," before they sit down. At the end of the docket call, he'll usually ask me if I have anything to say, and most of the time I do. And then he'll stand, and after I'm finished, he'll stand and he'll salute the group, and he'll say, "Veterans Treatment Court, are all on your feet. Veterans Treatment Court, dismissed." And when he says that, that's the clue to say, "Leave no veteran behind, sir." All right? Now we're going to do this for Judge Russell tomorrow. Please. We're going to do this for Judge Russell tomorrow. And that is, when he gets up here and he says, whatever he says to start it off with, I'd like to hear in unison, you all say, "Leave no veteran behind, sir." Now why do we do this? You know, Veterans Treatment Courts work because there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of esprit de corps. If you're a veteran and you went to basic training, you learn how to work together, how to do things together. And you saw the value of building up the spirit of the veteran, building up the spirit of the team, building up the spirit of the organization. So can we practice that? "Leave no veteran behind, sir." Let me hear it. Leave no veteran behind, sir. Let's do it again. Leave no veteran behind, sir. Now, I'll be up here tomorrow, somewhere close, and when you see me do this, or something like that, please, let's show Judge Russell what Texans are made of. This is Texas. We do things bigger, we do things better. Leave no veteran behind, sir. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Randy, Judge Christian. I'd like to award you a coin. Hold on. These are Texas Veteran Commission coins, where we award to people that go above and beyond to help veterans in one way or another. And I want to award one.
Thank you very
Judge
much.
Christian for what you're doing, and to Randy for what you're doing. Thank you so much for your service.
Good morning.
Good morning.